Okay, so when you play Ostheer, you start with a Pioneer Squad. Now, Pioneer Squad is your core building unit. You can upgrade with a flamethrower and a sweeper, just like the combat engineer from the Soviets. However, they have MP40s, so they're generally only good at close range. Yeah, so you don't want to use these guys in long range. So with your standard build for Ostheer is to go straight into Tier 1 and build Tier 1. Hey, Will. Thank you very much for the £5, dude. Cheers, mate.
Relic might not be sponsoring, but I am.
Well, Relic is sponsoring, just to clarify it. Anyway, get back into it. So you've got your normal Pioneer Squad, and let's just do instant construction and everything. So we'll go speed up, instant production, construction, resources, they're infinite, all resource types. Okay, so you get MG. So these are the two types of units you can build at the start. Thank you very much, Mac G, and also OWO for the follow. So you start with basically your pioneers and your machine gun that you can build from your HQ. So what you normally want to do with Ostheer is you want to build tier 1 if you're going to go for a standard build, and then from tier 1, once it's constructed, you can build a Grenadier, a Mortar, and a Sniper. Now we'll get onto specific builders in a bit, but I'll just go through each unit as they come. So your Grenadier is your core infantry fighting unit from the Ostheer. Just like conscripts are for the Soviets. They are a 4-man squad. However, they can be upgraded by default to get a MG42 light machine gun for 60 munitions once you've escalated to battle phase 1. So the way Ostheer tech is different from the Soviets. So with Ostheer, you have to first escalate the battle phase like so. So you spend your resources here. The 100 manpower and 40 fuel. And once you've done that, you can then build your second tier. So we're going to upgrade that.
We have been granted access to superior arms and soldiers.
And then we now have access to build our light mechanized company. So we'll build that here. You can rotate. By the way, if you want to rotate your building structure, you just click on the ground, and then you click once, and then you can drag wherever you want it to be, and then you click again to then finalize the construction, or you right click to cancel it. Okay. So that's how you can tech up with Ostheer. So you tech up again. So if I want to tech up to tier 3, I would click that button. Also, when you tech up to tier 1, you unlock the Panzergrenadiers. The Panzergrenadiers, you only get them once you've teched that up. You do not need to build tier 2 to actually call on the Panzergrenadiers. You just need to tech up to battle phase 1, okay? So let's get back onto the Gren. So the Grenadiers have 2 different abilities. Well, 3, but we'll get on to. They can also build bunkers as well, like Pioneers. Pioneers can build bunkers. They can build mines and stuff. So you can build bunkers if you wanted to, but I would highly advise against building bunkers unless your manpower blocked. So unless your population cap blocks, you don't want to build bunkers in the late game to have bunkers covering like important strategic points like maybe the VP or your fuel point over here, so your opponent can't get it. Okay, but you don't want to be building bunkers in the early game. The only time you want to build a bunker is in your base. So you want to build a bunker like this. You might think, why did you do this? You build a bunker in your base to gain healing, because you know Soviets, they can just buy healing straight away from their base, but Ostheer have to build a bunker and then upgrade a medic station like so. You can see the bunker's got your medic symbol, and then you've got medics popping out. And you want to build it near your HQ, because when your guys are retreating back, they'll automatically be healed by your medics, okay? So your Grenadiers have your Panzerfaust and your rifle grenade shot. Now a rifle grenade shot, as you can see, spend 30 munitions and they'll lob a rifle grenade on the designated spot of your choice. You can time this. I like to time this ability on retreat path on units. So if you get good, this is kind of like more, later stage learning with company heroes too. You know, trying to get rifle grenades and learning the retreat paths units. That would be a good way to wipe squads, because your opponent can't avoid that, as the retreat path is always set in stone, right? Unless, for instance, like a bush is crushed. And then that make because the AI, or the retreat function works basically the quickest way for that unit from when it retreated all the way back to the base. Okay, so if I wanted to retreat my unit here, they'll go this way, not that way around, because that's the quickest route. So they always want to take the quickest route when you retreat squads. Okay, the Panzerfaust is exactly like the AT grenade snare from the conscripts. You use this on light vehicles, and yeah, that's your Grenadiers. But once we get, you also need to be in territory. If I just pop this onto my control. Get going. This, because I need this point as well. can now upgrade when I have 60 munitions this squad with an MG42. Now this MG42 has to be stationary to fire, unlike the OKW Obersoldaten. They can fire on the move because they're freaking legends. But, you know, these guys can't. They're just standard soldiers, right? So they'll have the MG, but the MG upgrade on these guys makes them very good. And generally, you want to use your Grenadiers at range. You know, Grenadiers excel when they're firing at range. They also, you know, again, like I was saying yesterday, every squad actually has better accuracy the closer they are. But in terms of, like, what unit beats what unit, if you have a Grenadier fighting a conscript, if the Grenadier is at range, it will always beat the conscript, right? But if the conscript's close, you know, up close and personal, the conscript will win, okay? Now, you could upgrade the Grenadiers with G43s, but that's a commander ability I'll get into later on. And you can even upgrade them with a 5th man with another commander ability as well, with this commander section here, but we'll go on to the commanders later on. So, by the way, this bunker that you can build with the Pioneers can be upgraded with a machine gun. Like so, basically exactly the same as your base machine guns. And this, you know, like I say, you want to build this late game. You'll now defend the location and shoot infantry. It won't be any good against vehicles, but it's a good way to, like, you know, maybe hold your cutoff or hold a key point. But I would only recommend, like I say, building this in the late game. You can also build a bunker, like I say, with the meds, and you also can build a bunker that acts as a reinforcement point.
The bunker is now a command center.
So if I was to
Reinforcements are available.
delete a Pioneer, I can now reinforce from this bunker because it's a command bunker. So there we go, I can reinforce my Pioneer back up to full strength, like I could reinforce near my base. You can't reinforce near one of these because this is just purely a medic station, okay? So, however, with this kind of build, you can build 2 of these, this bunker and this bunker together on the front line to have a forward healing spot and a forward reinforcement spot, which is quite nice. Which I sometimes do in the late stages of like a 4v4 or 3v3, because both my teammates can, you know, my teammates can benefit from that. You'll rarely have, I'll basically never do this in a competitive 1v1 because, you know, it's not cost effective. Your opponent can easily just come in over here and blow this up. Like 1 satchel charge can blow this up. 3 shots from an anti-tank gun can easily kill these bunkers as well, and they can. And it's very easy to do so. Okay, so the second unit from your tier 1 is the Mortar.
Tear that tube down, we're moving. Moving as instructed.
So this Mortar is a 4-man squad as well. Pretty much exactly the same as the Soviet Mortar. You know, it does the mortar barrage, it can do smoke barrage. However, it does have, eventually, so you want a counter barrage ability. So basically what this means is, as soon as an enemy mortar starts firing, or an enemy artillery piece starts firing, and you've got this ability activated, this mortar will be effective when that ability is activated to counter bombard the opponent. It will be more effective than if you just let the mortar manually fire, or if you barraged with just a standard mortar barrage. Okay, so that's why, you know, this is what the Ostheer mortar has. It doesn't have the flare that the Soviet mortar has, but it does have the counter barrage ability, which is quite nice.
I'm moving.
Next, you go on to the Ostheer sniper. So unlike the Soviet sniper, it doesn't have a flare ability, but what it does have is a fire incendiary round explosive round at veterancy 1. Now this ability is very good to use against like a 1-man retreating squad, because the chance of you getting that kill. So normally, when a sniper tries to fire on a retreating squad, there's like a 50-50 chance that he'll aim and hit the squad. If you use this ability, you have a lot higher chance of actually getting the squad, getting the wipe on the retreat. Okay, so that's what you might want to save this ability up. And it also ignores the cooldown of your sniper's fire as well. I'll indicate this in a second. Let's just get a squad over here. Let me just get a 2-2 out so I can provide LOS. We'll talk about the 2-2 in a second, but I'm just going to build this to give my sniper vision.
Let's go.
Okay. Right, so just get my, because 2-2 is your scout vehicle here. We'll talk a bit more about that, but we vetted it to veterancy 3 so it gets more vision, so we can just indicate sniping. Selection, combat, veterancy 1. Okay. So let's get a conscript squad. Couple of conscript squads over here. Get rid of this mortar because it's going to fire.
Squad advance.
Okay. So if I was to get my sniper to fire, he'd fire like that, and then he's got a couple of seconds cooldown. Again, also the Ostheer sniper can go in camouflage like this, like any sniper can. They can always go into like a cover system, and then they will camouflage. However, if they keep shooting, they'll keep revealing themselves. Okay, so you can see my snipers firing like this. I'll fire again, but if I was to use my incendiary round, it would instantly reset the cooldown and fire immediately, like so. But sometimes the shot might miss. Which can be very frustrating sometimes, but try again. There you go. And that stun round, well, actually, you know, if two squads are close together, this inspiring incendiary round could kill multiple men with one shot, and it also stun multiple squads for a very short time, as well as getting that chance to get that one shot squad wipe on retreat. So if I was to hit this squad, so you get the stun, so it stops them from firing, it stops them unable to fire. So you might want to, stun enemy squad and then retreat your sniper if it gets, if that enemy squad gets too close, because that stun might buy your sniper some time to get back. We'll also try and get my sniper to fire on this model here, and hopefully, because I'm firing on this model, we might get some extra kills here. There we go. Almost. Let me just give you another example. Let me just get a couple more squads together here that are bunched up. The Soviet infantry. Okay, so we have all these conscripts all bunched up here. I'm just going to quickly all bunch them up a little bit more, just to give you guys a demonstration. So, here you go. All the squads are bunched up. Selection, owner, enemy. Because they're all bunched up and I did the incendiary round, I've got a very high chance here of doing multiple casualty damages. So here we go. Sometimes, I don't know why it is, but this incendiary round has been buggy lately. That's twice now it's missed out a few times. But try again here. There you go. You can see we can hit that round. And we only got one kill there, but you can see we did a bit of damage to the other squad. We'll try again. There we go. See that incendiary round? And we actually killed a few more than one this time. Okay. So it's quite an sniper is not so bad against a big blob that's kind of bunched up like that. And you can just use that sniper. You shoot the enemy and you keep backing away, and you can maybe bait them into your machine gun, for instance, machine gun bunker or whatever like that. Okay. Right, let's go on to the next unit, which was, we didn't really talk about the machine gun, the MG42. Now, the MG42, unlike the Maxim, has a bigger range arc. So if I just make the Soviet Maxim, just to give you guys a clear demonstration here of this. So, you can see the Maxim, its arc is a lot smaller compared to the MG42. So you can see there, MG42's arc, Maxim's arc. MG's got a lot more firing angle. So also the MG42 comes as a 4-man squad. However, Efficiency 1, it has access to armor-piercing rounds or incendiary rounds. Same thing. Selection, combat, Efficiency 1. So now, when you activate armor-piercing rounds, this will be very effective against light vehicles. So if I was to make, for instance, a selection, it's okay. Let's say you were dealing with like annoying Soviet M3, right?
Let's go.
So if I fire with my normal rounds, I'm still doing damage to it, but I'm not doing too much damage. But if I were to pop on armor-piercing rounds, see my guy change his ammo box, and then look how quickly he shreds it. One burst of his MG absolutely shreds that M3, right? So it's very effective. Now, if you were playing Soviets against this MG and you saw Efficiency 1, you need to watch out for that, okay? You need to really watch out for that because, once it's Efficiency 1, because it could pop the fire incendiary rounds, and a big telltale sign that it's doing that is when it changes its ammo mid-fire arc. Okay, so if you see the MG, firing on a conscript and then immediately pressing this button, so now he's changing back to normal ammunition here. But if I was to pop an armor-piercing rounds, look, he will always get a new box of ammunition and pop them in, and that buys you enough time to actually reverse away out of the firing of the MG if you make sure you're on max range of the MG. Okay, that's what was really good against the Ostheer machine gun. Okay. Now onto the Panzergrenadiers. Now Panzergrenadiers have SDGs by default. They're very good at close range, and you're kind of like, you use these guys to wreck, for instance, conscripts or penals kind of thing. But again, they are 4-man squads, so they with like most Ostheer units, and that means that they can get wiped a lot easier compared to something like conscripts and stuff. Okay, they can lob a bundle grenade, which is more effective than it's just a standard grenade. So if an enemy unit is bunched up, we'll just give an example here. Otherwise, MG. Okay, let's move you guys here. It's all the Soviets. 3. Right. Action. Enemy. So you got these conscripts here. We'll have a bundle grenade on these guys. Boom. Very effective. against killing infantry that are all clumped up together and behind light cover and that kind of thing. So you want to use a bundle grenade to try and wipe enemy infantry, like so. And you can even lob this, like, again, like, you know, you can time it. So enemy unit over here retreats back, you lob the grenade in the retreat path, you might be able to get the wipe, okay? It's also worth noting, guys, that these guys that are crawling around still provide vision for your opponent. So you might want to break the Geneva Convention, or whatever, and make sure you finish the models off here, so that your enemy doesn't get vision. But you know what I mean, right? You want to shoot these guys in case you want to make sure, you know, because obviously crawlers like these guys I call, they can also detonate mines. So if there was a mine over here and they crawled into it, they would detonate the mine and you wouldn't get any worth out of it, basically, right? So you might want to make sure you get rid of you know, crawlers, because they, like I say, they provide LOS and they can detonate mines, and it wouldn't be worthwhile if they detonate them. Panzergrenadiers also, when you have 100 munitions, they can upgrade Panzerschreck in their, again, but they have to be in their own territory. So they sacrifice 2 of their SDGs for Panzerschrecks. Now these Panzerschrecks are effective against all armor types. They allow, against medium vehicles, they pretty much will always penetrate, but against heavy vehicles like IS-2s and stuff, I'll just give it an example here. Let's call in some Soviet. So we'll have a Soviet, I will have an IS-2, an Su-85, and a T-70, right? Okay, so you see my Shreks here, will always penetrate that. Pretty much will always penetrate an Su-85 as well. Like so. But if I try to hit the frontal armor of this IS-2, maybe one of these Shreks might actually bounce. See, one of those Shreks penetrated and one bounced. So, they both penetrate. But if I was to come around the backside and try and shoot these Shreks in the rear, I'd pretty much always get a penetration damage in and more damage because I'm hitting its rear armor. See? There you go. So there you go, that's Panzerschrecks for you. Very good units. I'd always use these in conjunction with maybe like a Grenadier, like we talked about earlier. So Grenadier can get the Faust in on an enemy vehicle, and then you can get your Panzerschrecks in there to finish them off, kind of thing. Let's get into the next, so tier 2. So we're going to tier 2 now. Let's get the other vehicles here.
New anti-tank gun has arrived.
And the anti-tank gun. So this is your tier 2. So tier 2, you have access to the 222. The 222 is a vehicle which is very good against, well, fairly decent against infantry. And it can also shoot down an enemy aircraft. The Veteran C... does it need to be Veteran C1? Let me just double check. That one.
We have a new scout car.
A Veteran C1, it unlocks the infantry awareness ability. So like the tracking from Soviets you were watching yesterday, it can spot enemy units through the fog of war. So if we were to put like an enemy, for instance, sniper behind here. Okay, and I popped on tracking, we can see on my mini-map that an enemy sniper is spotted there. Even though we can't see it physically, we know by activating tracking, we can see the enemy sniper is hidden behind that house. Now, 222 is your answer to try and deal with snipers, by the way. Very good. Its coaxial machine gun and its main gun is good for tearing down specific, you know, sniper units, that kind of thing. And it has good. It's one of the best vehicles in the game for spotting invisible units, cloaked units. So if I was to, well, let me just show you how good it's killing a sniper. There you go. Easily takes the sniper down. So if I was to, again, let's just do this quickly again. So Soviet sniper. Have him hidden over here. Okay, right. So if I was to get, like, for instance, a Grenadier to find this sniper, I have to get really close to see the sniper. I'd have to get like this close to get, yeah, see, I wasn't seeing. Now I've spotted him. Okay, so I had to get very close to spot that sniper. Now if I was to get a 222 over there, so I had to get about there to spot the sniper. I bring my 222 over, I spot the sniper a lot quicker, okay? Because it has a better detection radius. Also, Pioneers as well. This is for any cloaked unit, by the way. Also, Pioneers as well. Also, have a bigger detection radius than Grenadiers, but not by much. okay? Right. Let's go to the half track. Now the half track can do a lot of things. The half track, you can put units inside, but unlike the M3 and the M5 from the Soviets, the units that are inside the half track won't actually fire out of them. Won't fire out of the half track. You'll always only have the 2 machine gun guys on the back. However, units inside the half track, which is a new thing that they added recently, if I put a squad inside this half track, they can heal. There you go. You see them healing up there, bottom left hand side. Squad is healing all the way back up to full health. But however, this needs to happen out of combat. Squad will only heal their wounds while out of combat. There you go. Okay. The half track also allows you to reinforce your squads on the field as well, like what this does, like what the bunker does. So if I select squad members, delete 1, there you go. I can reinforce my Grenadier back to full strength, like so. And you can reinforce your pack guns and stuff as well. You can also put a machine gun, I believe, inside the You can also put your machine gun inside there, but I don't believe you can put a mortar. Oh, you can. So you can put your handheld support weapons inside your half track as well if you wanted to, but you can't put a pack on there, and you can't tow your pack guns, which is unfortunate. It would be nice to be able to tow pack guns, but that isn't a feature in Company Heroes 2 at the moment, and probably will never will be for the foreseeable future, I'm afraid.
Half track ready.
So the half track was against Veterancy 1. So the half track is one of those vehicles that gain shared veterancy. So basically, when your units around the half track do damage to enemy units, the half track will gain veterancy without having to do anything itself. As long as it's nearby, it will just gain veterancy. When it gains Veterancy 1, it can lay shoe mines, which is the same kind of mine the OKW can lay. So we're going to put a mine there. So if you're a Soviet plane, you see this. You see both the machine gunners guys go down into their vehicle. You can probably tell that there's a mine being laid there. Okay. It's also worth noting. Let's go back over to the Pioneers. Pioneers have got 2 different types of mines they can lay. They can lay telemine. Now this telemine is incredibly effective against one-shotting light armored vehicles. Like an M3, Stuart tanks, T-70s, things like that. Half tracks, that kind of thing. It will one-shot those things if an enemy vehicle drives over them. However, a medium vehicle and above, like a T-34, if a T-34 hits this thing, I'll quickly just show you. Let's go selection, owner, enemy. We'll bring in a T-34. So obviously, we'll get a T-70. The T-70 comes over here, it'll get one-shotted. Like so. Now if I was to make a T-34... So the T-34 would receive a lot of damage, but it wouldn't get one-shotted. So it takes about 60% damage, and it gets engine damage as well. Any telemine that gets hit by any vehicle will either get one-shotted or will receive a lot of damage and basically will have an engine damage, okay? So having mines like, a mine, like a telemine here is a very good idea because that's like a way through your opponents are going to use to try and flank you, for instance. Also, Pioneers can also build sandbags and lay barbed wire. Like so. So it's a good idea, or it's whenever you're capping a point. For instance, if I was going to capture this point outside my base, I'd always lay down a piece of cover first, and I'd also lay that piece of cover right next to my the cutoff, because it makes it difficult for my opponent to benefit from that cover. Now, if I wanted to deny that bit of cover that's showing to my opponent, I could also lay some wire down like that, like so. And then I've got a nice little point here where I can hold this area and my opponent can't benefit from this cover, okay? And also, so if I want to come over here to capture this munitions point, I'd be like, oh, I want to wire this point off, that area off, this point here, and this point here, because these are angles that my opponent might come down and use against me, because I'm going to come from this side to attack this point, right? I don't want to wire off this side of the cover, because my opponent might get inside that house, right? Also, you've got to be careful you don't wire yourself in like that, which you might do. I've done that way too many times. So yeah, we want to leave that bit of wire, that area open, so my unit can come over here and use that cover against an enemy that might be in that house, for instance. You can also use wire, by the way, guys, to deny entry to buildings, which I'll now show you. If I was to lay a piece of wire like this horizontally onto this house, I could no longer get into that side of the house unless I go around the front side. So because you'd want to do wire this side of the house, because obviously your opponent's going to be coming from this side, they're going to come around here, and you want to wire off so they can't jump in the house and use this house against you, because this house covers this munitions point and gives your opponent a good line of sight over your cutoff point as well. So you want to not let your opponent get, for instance, this side of the house on this map. And again, look here, if I wanted to grab this VP, I'd lay cover wire there, I would lay cover there, and then I'd wire, for instance, this, you know, this maybe wire this truck off, okay, as well, so my opponent can't use that against me over here, okay?
Let's go, pioneers.
So you move your unit in front of the cover while leaving enough space for the wire and then build it. But yeah, basically, because if I was to,
Here we go.
let me just try and wire my own unit in here. So if I was to do this and wire like this, I might accidentally wire my unit in. Fortunately, I've given myself enough space there, but the amount of times that I've actually wired my unit in,
Pioneers awaiting orders.
I'll try and wire it in here like this.
Protect the perimeter with some barbed fire. We're moving.
See, when I want to do it, I can't do it, but when I'm not doing it, you know. But yeah, general principle is that always try and make sure your squad is on this side, you know, on the opposite side of where you want to wire, and then you wire in like that, okay? Like on the opposite side like that, okay? Don't have them on the inside. Yeah, so not in the inside. Don't wire from the inside because you might trap your unit. On the outside, you want to wire in from the outside, okay? Right, so also, let's get back onto the half track. The half track can also, for 90 munitions, be upgraded to flamethrowers. However, it loses the ability to reinforce, but it can still lay mines of efficiency 1. It's very effective. You know, it has two flamethrower projectiles like so. And this does a lot of damage versus infantry. Very, you know, the flames are very effective against infantry. So you want to make sure, you know, sometimes you play a build for Ostheer is to try and rush out a flamethrower hard trick and charge down your enemy infantry with this, because you can also kite with this, because the flame projectile damage actually can go quite fast. So you can kite your opponent with this. You know, you can keep firing max range with the flames and keep backpedaling with it and avoiding getting snared. So yeah, that's the flamethrower half trick. Again, you can't reinforce. You can also press D, handbrake mode. Actually, there's something wrong with this mod because the handbrake mode isn't working. So I think, actually, chat, ignore what I've just said. I think the mines are only for the half track of efficiency 1, and I don't think it plants mines once it gets the flamethrower half trick upgrade. I think it's because the mod is slightly outdated, and that's why it's not the case. So apologies with that. Can you enter the vehicle? No, you can't enter the vehicle when the half track is upgraded as well. That's another thing to mention. Now let's get on to the anti-tank gun. So this is your anti-tank gun, your pack gun. Very effective unit against all types of armor in Company Heroes 2 that the allies could throw at you. It has a decent firing arc, can hold fire if you wanted to as well, to set up an ambush. And also, efficiency 1, it does target weak point. Now what does target weak point do? Let me show you. So we'll give this. So yeah, you go. We activate stun round, and you can see what happens here. The weak shot, it stuns the enemy tank. It means they're immobile for a short amount of time, and that is really important because it allows you to, like, once you've got the stun round in, you can then follow up, maybe get close with the Grenadier to get the Panzerfaust in because you can't get away, right? So then you can damage the engine, and then your pack gun can keep shooting it. A standard pack round, as you can see, will still damage, you know, do a lot of damage here. Sometimes it might bounce off the armor of an IS-2, like so, because an IS-2 is a big tank. But you know, most times it should penetrate, like so. And again, I can use, I can activate the target weak point. When you activate your target weak point, only one round will actually give the target weak point. So you can't just activate it. You've got 10 seconds to get that target weak point off. So that's just, then you can just auto fire. Like so. But once it's used it up, it can't fire a second one straight away. Okay? I've got cheat mod on, so there's no cooldown on it at the moment. But there you go. Okay? So it's a very nice little effective ability to make sure you can, you know, slow down your enemy vehicles, stun them, and maybe you know, if you stun an enemy vehicle, it's stuck, then you can come around and flank it, basically. Okay? So that's the pack gun. Also, pack gun, you can use attack round. So let's say an enemy vehicle was over here. Let's actually do it. So you can't see past this area here. Let's just delete these two vehicles. Let's put in a enemy SU-85, for instance. Yeah, we can't see it there, but we know it's there. If we saw it, we can use attack round.
Crew will carry out your orders.
There we go. We can't see the vehicle, but we see we've got a rear armor hit on whatever we hit there. So that was good. Now we actually can see the vehicle. We can keep smashing it from here, you know, and using attack round to actually hit it. Sometimes, if there's like a hay barrel in the way or some cover in the way or maybe a stone wall, it's very likely attack round will actually miss. But if you've got a clear line of sight through the bushes, you can just keep smashing here and trying to take out that enemy vehicle.
To fire on
Okay.
Red Army unit.
There you go.
Target destroyed.
And there we go. We've killed the enemy vehicle like so.
Verstanden.
Okay, so always try to use attack ground if you can. You can use attack ground with also not just pack guns or mortars, that kind of thing. You can also use attack ground with vehicles. So if I had, for instance, we'll take up now and we'll talk about that. So let's go and take up to tier 3. So again, we escalate. We have to escalate when we tech. So we escalate to battle phase 2. Spend 200 manpower 90 fuel there.
The HQ has
Then we
been
have access to
upgraded.
tier 3.
Medium armor and rocket artillery is now available.
We build tier 3. And then we access to 3 more units here,
Pack crew is ready.
which is the Stug, the Ostwind, and the Panzer IV.
Panzer IV is ready for battle.
Here they come.
Panzer here. Move orders received.
Okay. So first things first, the Panzer IV and the Stug can both be upgraded with a pincer mount machine gun. Or that's 30 munitions, this is 50 munitions. Both these machine guns would make them more effective against infantry. So now the Stug generally is terrible against infantry, but it is a cheap little tank destroyer, basically. It has a fixed turret, so it has to turn to shoot people. So if I wanted to get to shoot over here, it has to turn its whole body around to shoot. It has decent range as well. You can shoot up to about here. Whereas the Panzer IV has shorter range. It can't fire as far as the Stug. However, the Panzer IV is very effective against all targets. You know, infantry, medium vehicles, maybe not so effective against like big heavy tanks like the Churchill, the IS-2, the Pershing, things like that. But generally, everything else is very good at damaging and killing. Okay. Now the Ostwind is primarily only good against infantry. It can also take down light vehicles like half-tracks and stuff, and infantry, and maybe even like it can even tango with like a Stuart or a T-70 because they're light tanks. But it's very bad against medium vehicles like T-34s and above. Okay, but also the Ostwind can shoot down planes as well. Okay, so let me just give you a quick demonstration of the effectiveness of these units. Then, so we'll get come over here. You come over here with you. Come over here. Right. So we'll go with the Ostwind first. So we'll call on I don't know, some conscripts. You can see here, Ostwinds. Also, it's worth noting that all 3 of these vehicles can crush. So if I try to move over here, crush the enemy. So you can use, you know, you can always want to try and maneuver like the enemy squad and try and get it to curve around on a sight blocker. Sorry, not sight blocker, on an immovable object. But generally, yeah, the Ostwind is very good at killing enemy infantry, like as you can see there. But I would, in general though, chat, I wouldn't be getting the Ostwind up too close and personal with a unit like a conscript, because obviously we know conscripts can AT grenade snare us. So basically, what you want to do with the Ostwind is safely fire away these conscripts from range and just smash them like this. Okay, there you go. So that's the effectiveness of the Ostwind against infantry. We'll also make ourselves a Soviet, for instance. Let's make a T-70. I'll show you here. So the T-70 can penetrate the Ostwind, but it has difficulty doing so from the front. And the Ostwind, however, does not have difficulty penetrating the T-70. Sometimes some of the rounds might penetrate. I mean, it's got more chance of penetrating compared to the way around, right? So you can see here, Ostwind, most of its rounds are penetrating this T-70 and does quite well. But if I was to bring on a T-34, If the T-34's rear armor was showing against me, I might be able to penetrate that. But if you can see now from the front, most of my rounds will be bouncing here, and the T-34 will always win this fight. So I'm still penetrating it a little bit though, right? So, you know, if I manage to get my Oswin and come around the rear and had some other units supporting, I might be able to take down a T-34. But generally, as you can see here, the Oswin was no match to that T-34. Okay, T-34 would always generally win that one-on-one fight. Okay, so let's go on to Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is effective against all targets. So, let me just make some conscripts here.
Panzer here.
You can see here, you know, they just like tear into infantry. There you go. You see there? And then we'll get a so we'll get a T-34. So generally, this could go either way, to be honest. The T-34 is 76 versus Panzer IV. Both, you know, it's basically medium vehicle versus medium vehicle, so they both have an equal chance to kill each other. You know, depending on, like, you know, RNG. But you can also make sure that you could probably get the win on the engagement by making sure you hit your opponent in the rear. Okay? But yeah, but I think slightly maybe the Panzer IV has a better chance to kill the T-70. But generally, a T-34 could easily beat a Panzer IV if it manages to shoot it in the rear. And the same thing, Panzer IV shoots the rear of the T-34 and have an easy time of killing that, okay? There's also an abandon mechanic in the game, if you didn't know. So any vehicle in the game has a chance to have an abandon, which means the crew dies, the vehicle still could be recovered by yourself or your opponent. So if I had some Soviet infantry here, I could grab, like, a Grenadier squad, I could grab this, I could steal the T-34 tank, but it is got a heavy engine damage critical, which means it is incredibly slow. A lot slower than just a standard engine critical here. You can tell this by the big massive fireball on its rear, right? So to repair this, obviously you get your pioneers in, you can repair that, but once you repaired it, you've now got basically a free tank. However, you know, it's rare. I mean, it's not actually that rare, but it's uncommon for tanks to get abandoned, but if they do, you can always, you know, get your unit and attack ground to finish that tank off. If you or you know yourself, if your own tank got abandoned and you knew your opponent was about to steal it, you can always just try and blow it up using attack move on it. So if I was to go selection, health, how do I make this abandoned? So I make it abandoned again. So I can just see if it's abandoned tank, press Q, then click on the vehicle. And I can get my Panzer IV to finish that abandoned vehicle off, okay? There we go. And then we'll go over to the Stug. So here we go with the Stug. Again, we'll have a T-34 over here. Now, if you're using your range advantage with the Stug against the T-34, you'd always win against it. But the T-34 could, you know, has got good maneuverability and can get round. If the T-34 does flank the Stug, then it can easily pick it off, as I will show you. Selection, owner, enemy. So he sees me, but I'm going to use my superior micro and flanking here to deal with this the Stug, right? So now the Stug is screwed because I can just keep circling around it, keep shooting it in the rear. Even if I keep missing, the Stug cannot do anything about this, right? Like so. So this, you can do this to any vehicle that has a fixed main gun, be that an Elephant, Jagdtiger, Su-85. It's also worth noting, chat, that squads that are on the move will have more chance to miss. It's got worse accuracy when you know it's moved. So you want to make sure you're stationary to get the shot in. There you go. Easy win like that. Okay. And then I'll just give you another example of how you should use your Stug. So we'll get in ourselves the we'll rebuild the Stug. We'll make a T-34 again over here. Okay. So you'd want to have, like, again, let's get that to, where's the 222 out? Let's make it, so the Stug in general will not have vision, has poor vision. It can shoot further than it can actually see. So what you want to do is have a 222 nearby as well, like try and get that, you know, because that will provide vision for this tank. So you could go, what's it, combat, efficiency 3, get the vision.
Brumberg is moving. Hold tight, get us there, and don't hit every bump on the way.
Okay, so there you go, there's the enemy tank. We can move up closer to it, we can start smashing it. And here the T-34 can't return fire because the Stug has the advantage. Right, let's say that T-34 kept on pushing me. What I would do is just keep backpedaling until the T-34 was dead. And I would win the engagement. Takes 4 shots for me to kill it. Because I've already started firing on it initially. There you go, and there it's dead. Okay, so that's how you use your Stug. You got to try and use your Stug. Treat it as like a sniper tank. You have it in the rear. You're trying to find a max range. You're using a unit like a 222 to spot that. Because if the 222 wasn't there, if I have to delete the 222, we haven't got that. We can't see it, right? We've got no vision.
Yeah.
Because like, you can see my again. Here's my max firing range. I can shoot a lot further than the actual tank itself can see. Okay. So there you go. That's all the 3 vehicles there. So also I want to talk about the abilities of the vehicle. So you can have heat shell. You loads of heat shell. It stuns the enemy vehicle crew. So basically a bit like the pack gun rounds that we saw earlier. It can stun the enemy vehicle coming in. The Panzergrenadier has the ability to blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg tactics for 30 munitions. So this is in standard speed. I activate blitzkrieg. It goes a lot faster. You can use this to attack an enemy position, or you could use it to get the hell out of dodge real quickly. So you can use it as an offensive or a defensive ability. And the Ostwind, I think it's just got tracking, hasn't it?
Ready for orders.
Oh, it's got Blitzkrieg as well, so it's the same ability. There we go. Okay, so that's the 3 medium vehicles for the Ostheer, which is non-doctrinal. Right, now we're going to take up again, so we're going to take to tier 4.
We are now authorized to request more powerful units.
How can I make my game lag less? I don't have a really good PC and I want to play it, but it's shit to play on 28 FPS whenever something moves in game. But then I would recommend just turning all your settings down to 0. Excuse me. Turning your settings all the way down to the
Reporting for duty.
to the minimum list possible, whatever, the lowest possible it could be. Right. This is tier 4. So these are all the 3 vehicles you can call in as Ostheer in tier 4. Non-doctrinally. So both the Panther and the Brumberg have the ability to crush hedgerows. They have heavy crush. Wait. Does it? Yeah, it does. So you can see here I can crush this hedgerow if I wanted to. Both the Panther and the Brumberg can also again be upgraded with a pencil mount machine gun to make them more effective against infantry. Turn the game down a little bit. I feel like I'm shouting all the time. And then so you want to get the Panther is your what else? This is like your heavy tank, as it were, like non-doctrinal heavy tank. It's good against all types of armor. It's very bad against infantry. Well, it's not very. It's okay against infantry. It can crush enemy infantry and do slight damage to them. But it's generally you want to use this against enemy armored vehicles. Okay, so this will wreck T-34s, and it's got quite a bit of health as well, so it can take a bit of damage. That's the Panther. The Panther also has again the ability to blitzkrieg. It doesn't have amazing range. I mean, it's got decent range, but I mean, an Su-85 will outrange a Panther, so you got to watch out for that. You know, if you want to play, if you're up against Su-85, you probably want to get yourself a pack gun, right? Instead of to deal with an Su-85 or you know the enemy tank destroyers, because you know the Su-85s can't deal. You know, they're tank destroyers; they can't kill support weapons, right? Like a pack gun. So this would be a good unit to call it on. You've also got the Panzergrenadier. So the Panzergrenadier is your artillery unit. So similar to the Katusha, it fires rockets. Again, it has the spread. The closer you fire, the closer you are, the smaller the spread, so the more accurate the rockets are. I generally, for this specific unit, I definitely recommend trying to get as close as possible within reason. So you always want to make sure that you've got vision and make sure it's safe, because this is a glass cannon. One shot from any enemy anti-tank gun and any enemy tank will one-shot this thing, so you've got to be very careful there. So you can fire this ability, and you can see here. See how all those rockets were nice and close? If I was to fire my max range possible here with the Panzerwerfer, like so. can see a lot of the spread of those rockets was a lot greater than the spread of the rockets here, okay? So if you want to get more accurate, nice and tight shots with the rocket barrage, you want to try and fire a lot closer. That's your Panzer. Again, it also has counter barrage ability, so if I just indicate, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But basically, I don't know if I can show you, but I can just tell you. Basically, if any enemy, it's very hard for me to say any enemy, oh god, why is that so hard to say? Any enemy. If any enemy artillery fires, and this Panzerwerfer is in range to fire back, and you have this ability on, then this Panzerwerfer will then counter barrage that artillery unit back, okay? It's also worth noting that both the Katyusha and the Panzerwerfer, once they reach efficiency 2, their cooldown of their rockets greatly decreases. Well, I could try that, enemy mortars attack ground, but I don't know if it will work. We could try it. Let's just try it. Let me just see if we can get it to work here. So we go, combat, efficiency. Give efficiency 3, for instance. We'll make a Soviet mortar.
We will relocate.
We'll activate this ability. We'll selection own an enemy. We'll turn the fog of war off so that will start shooting me. This will start firing at me now. Hopefully now that my Panzerwerfer should. There you go. Here it goes. Counter barrage ability is activated. Get wrecked, son. Easy. There you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So it'll do any kind of artillery that you're up against. It will just counter fire like that. Okay. So that was the Panzerwerfer. Let's go on to the Brumberg. So the Brumberg is a very useful vehicle against infantry and support weapons. It's got a long projectile shot, as I'll now show. You'll see that the round takes a while to travel, which means that you want to be using attack ground with this, okay? Let me just show you the reason why. Let's say if I had some Soviet infantry over here. Let's do fog of war enabled. Let's just have some Soviet infantry come from here. Right. Let's have some Soviet infantry walk from here to here. Okay. If I was to get the Brumberg and try to attack this infantry, it will fire on where the unit was at, not where it is currently at. So you want to use attack ground. So I'm going to anticipate their retreat path, their movement here, and fire over here with the Brumberg shell. And there we go. We'll get a lot more accurate round. Okay? So you always want to try and make sure you're using attack ground with the Brumberg rather than letting the Brumberg auto fire. Because like you say, you can see it's got a long time in the air that the round is traveling compared to other vehicles, right? So it's going to be firing at where the unit was originally, not where it is now at. So think of like you're playing an FPS game, right? You always try and fire in front of somebody, right? Rather than where they're currently at, okay? So the Brumberg can also hold fire. Once it's efficiency 1, it gains a bunker buster ability. And it allows it to fire a lot further. So that's its maximum range there. We'll give it efficiency 1. Efficiency 1. Now that bunker buster range is a lot further. Right? Okay, so you can fire there. So let's say there was an enemy Ziz gun that was in position over here. Let's build one. Let's just make one here. Team weapons, Ziz gun over here. So generally, like an anti-tank gun is supposed to be able to kill a Brumberg, enemy vehicles, right? Now 2 anti-tank guns could probably take out a Brumberg, right? Brumberg hasn't got that great armor. It's got quite a bit of health, so it can take a bit of fire. But I definitely think like a one-on-one fight, a Brumberg will be able to take out an anti-tank gun, even without the bunker busting ability. I'll just show you. The first round of the bunker busting ability is incredibly accurate. So let me just take this enemy and turn them to, this is going to make them an enemy. We know he's over there somewhere, so we're just going to fire about here with the bunker busting ability. And yes, this gun is firing back on us, but because we have we're using our bunker busting ability, we can do quite a lot of damage to that. And even if I move up against this, even with about 60% health, I still think we can probably take this thing out on a 1-1 fight. As long as I make sure I fire on it, like so, boom. There you go. So it's really easy for me to take out that Ziz gun, even like fighting on it frontally. Generally, obviously, if I could have flanked and come around the side and attacked it from that angle, I would have done so because I would have not taken any damage then. But I can still probably attack it, with a Brumberg, I can attack from the front. Now, if there was 2 Ziz guns firing at me, I'd probably lose that fight, right? But So that's why the Brumberg is really good, because it's one of those units you can just be kind of ballsy with it. Get up there, take out this gun, and then you can attack, move it again once you've destroyed the vehicle crew, and to blow the weapon up so your opponent can't recrew it. Then you can pull back, repair, and then you can go again, right? You always want to try and if you can take the damage and then repair it, that's always worth doing. Than sacrificing manpower from infantry squads to make the engagement. Also, one more thing: when you activate counter barrage ability, the unit becomes immobile. You can't move it. It can turn, but it can't move. Okay. I'd also want to recommend, guys, with Panzerwerfer, is that whenever you fire with it, like so, you fire here, hold down Shift, then press R, and then put it back to your base like so. Because as soon as you've done that, it'll fire its barrage, and then it'll immediately reverse back to base. Because what a lot of people forget to do is that they just fire and then leave the vehicle there. And if they leave it there, your opponent might see that and then try to counter barrage it, right? But if you try and reverse immediately after firing and back to your base, then your vehicle is a lot is obviously a lot safer and out of harm's way. And then once it's recharged again, you bring it back onto the field, you fire again, and you put it all the way back to your base again. That's generally what I would do with the Panzerwerfer. Hey, Randy. So, and also again, like I say, when it gets Efficiency 2, it fires, it fires faster. Its cooldown is a lot smaller. So there we go. That's all the Ostheer units that we've gone through. So we went through. So we had the Pioneers, the MG42, the Panzergrenadiers, the half track, the 222, the Pat gun, the Grenadier, the Mortar, the Sniper, the Stug, the Ostwind, the Panzer IV, and also the Brumberg, the Panther, and the Panzerwerfer. So they're all the standard units. Now let's get on to the unique units for Ostheer, the ones that you can call on via commanders. Right, so let's come over to here, I guess. Take these quickly. Right, so let's see what we've got. So we've got some different units. So you've got your Ostheer, your Assault Grenadiers, your Stormtroopers, your Field Artillery Officer, and your Jaeger Command Squad. So they're your unique units that the Ostheer can come on. So these guys are kind of like the elite squads. These guys are kind of new. These guys are kind of beginner units. Vox Phantom, thank you very much for 20 months, dude. Cheers, mate. So now Ostheer is a unit which is very weak, but it's a 6-man squad, which is the biggest squad for the Ostheer in the game. And that makes it's got more survivability, right? So if it gets hit by a big tank round, a few of those models might survive, whereas maybe a 4-man Grenadier squad might instantly get wiped. Now, the Ostheer squad is 200 manpower. It's very cheap, but it's really shit. Like it pretty much loses in nearly every engagement against any other unit. But it is very cheap. It's one of the cheapest units in the game. And you want these units out because if you can use them quite well in conjunction with MG42s, right? The MG42 gets the suppression on the enemy unit, the Ostheer you use for capping, and as soon as the MG's got the suppression on the enemy unit, the Ostheer can then get in there and actually do some damage. Enemy units, as I discussed previously on my other boot camp videos, when the enemy units are suppressed and pinned, they do no damage. They basically can't dish out any damage themselves, okay? So a really good build for, we'll get onto specific build orders, but we'll just quickly glance over this quickly, is that the, is like going with like maybe double a machine gun and a couple of Ostheer squads. And that allows you to get like good capping advantage and good map control in the early game. Now in the late game, also Ostheer can Panzerfaust like your standard Grenadiers. However, they can only Faust once either Tier 1 or Tier 2 is built. Okay. And also once Tier 4 is built, you can also then upgrade them with one MG. They can have one MG34, which makes them a little bit better in combat ability, okay? And they can also build a bunker like a Pioneer, okay? That's your Ostheer. And also they can Efficiency 1, First Aid ability, I think Grenadiers as well. Most infantry can spend 50 munitions and pop First Aid. They can heal themselves or heal a friendly squad. Let me just quickly show this. Let's go section, combat, Efficiency 1. Section.
We can learn as well as a German.
Wait, health.
Here.
So if I was to, I could heal myself with this. I could press this, heal myself.
You can count on Ostheer. No, really, you can.
There you go. It tells you how long it takes. And then they go, they heal themselves. Then they can also pop their healing ability on another squad like so. Come over to the Assault Grenadiers, and we can heal them. Like so. And you can just basically heal your squads back up to full health without having to retreat back to base. So that's why you'd want to do this, basically. You know, if you've got a squad that's like, you know, a full health in regards to as many models. They've got max models, but they've got like 40% health. It would be a good idea to maybe pop a first aid kit on them, so rather than have to retreat all the way back to base, okay? So that's Stormtrooper. So let's go over to a Assault Grenadier. So Assault Grenadiers also come out at the start of the game. You can call, I haven't got the commander on them for the moment, but you can call these on as well, you know, from the get-go, instead of just normal Grenadiers. Now, Assault Grenadiers come with MP40s. They all have MP40s. They're very good at close quarters combat. They suck at range. Once you get, I believe it's tier... Is it tier 2? 1 second, what is it?
How can we help?
It's tier 2, yeah. I think once you've got tier 2 built, you can then upgrade the squad with a third man, or is it tier 3, guys? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see if chat can correct me. Just double check. I think, is it tier 3? Sorry, it's tier 3. So, well, yeah, once you get tier 3 built, you can then upgrade the squad with a veteran squad leader. So you press that ability.
They have been outfitted with new
Then you can come back to base and reinforce it. Like so. And then the veteran squad leader looks like a Panzergrenadier model. And, you know, he'll also have an MP40, but it basically increases their unit's ability to capture territory quickly and makes them more resilient. So they take, they're hard to hit. Assault Grenadiers can also build like a bunker, and they can also lob down a barrage of grenades for 30 munitions. This is a really good ability that if you're up against, like, you know, a support weapon camps in a building, or you've got a big enemy blob coming towards you. You can lob this grenade spam down like so. Every man on the squad lobs 1 grenade each. And if any units that are in that will get absolutely decimated, okay? They also have the ability to sprint. So they can get in up against their opponent, you know, in their face a lot quicker. Because obviously, if you don't, you know, you don't want to be walking to your opponent out in the open and taking longer to get there. Because the longer you take to get there, the more likely your squad's going to be dropping men, right? So you want to like sprint over to your opponent, get up nice, close and personal, and try and take them down with it, you know, and get your MP40s up close and personal, so you can do the damage as much as quickly as possible. So that's the your Assault Grenadiers. Next unit you have is Stormtroopers. Now Stormtroopers, you can, if I choose the commander here, this is the commander for Stormtroopers. So Stormtroopers can spawn in ambient buildings, and they also can camouflage in cover. Now you've got 3 upgrades for Stormtroopers. You can upgrade them with a Panzergrenadier. You can upgrade them for MP40s for free, or you can upgrade them with G43s if you have, for instance, okay, I have this commander selected, so I can upgrade them with the G43s. But normally you wouldn't be able to upgrade them with G43s, okay? So what I would do is I would upgrade these guys with MP40s. They all gain MP40s for free. I could also upgrade them with the Shrek if I wanted to as well, so they gain 1 Shrek. And they have a little bit of AT capability there, okay? Let me just call in another one, actually, so I just know what I'm doing. Just call that squad in there.
Infiltration specialists have joined the fight.
So they're the MP40 ones.
Squad. Oh,
So-
marching. We live for fucking marching.
Right.
Nothing like a trek through the countryside.
Double
Just
check
wish
something
it
here.
wasn't this country.
Okay, it's weird that the hold fire symbol changes hotkey. Okay, so both the squads have hold fire. Both squads could also lob the model stun grenade in because of the commander selection. Also, Grenadiers now could lob a stun grenade, like so, because we have the commander selection. So basically, unlike the rifle grenade lobs it far. The stun grenades are quite a short range grenade, and it stuns their opponent, does a little bit of damage. So
Ready to move.
we also have vehicle detection once you upgrade the Panzergrenadier, so we can spot enemy vehicles like we did with the sniper, but instead it'll just be vehicles. Stormtroopers can also booby trap points. So an enemy unit that comes over to try to capture a point, they would get blown up, and most of them, that squad would die. They can also lob a incendiary grenade to burn someone out of cover, a bit like, you know, the Vox Grenadier squad ability. They can also lob a smoke grenade down
Defensive smoke.
to get closer to their opponent, so they don't take damage on their approach. And they could do steady tactical advance. So let me just give you guys an example.
We live for
Bring them
fucking
over here.
marching. Nothing like a trek through the countryside. I just wish it wasn't this
And we'll
country.
maybe make, I'll just make a conscript squad from here.
Squad.
So this is what you want to use, like, Stormtroopers for. You have your Stormtrooper hiding on some cover like that. You want them to hold fire. So you let the enemy squad get close as possible. Selection, owner, enemy. So you want to let the enemy get close as possible. like so. And then you want to like deactivate this ability and then press the tactical advance. And these absolutely just shred the enemy unit real quick like so with that ability activated. If I didn't have that ability activated, I wouldn't be able to do as much damage. But you know, when I activate this ability, see how far they normally can move? If I activate this ability, they can become a lot slower, okay? A lot slower. But they do have increased damage. And also, one other negative thing they have is they're more vulnerable to getting shot at, okay? So generally, you might want to use this ability if you're, you know, trying to enemy squad. You've called in a squad over here. You've hid them in cover. Enemy squad's trying to retreat past. Then you activate the tactical advance on the retreat path of them, and then you might be able to pick up the wipe on retreat, for instance, okay? So that's your Stormtroopers. You know, you kind of like your camouflage unit that can sneak up on enemies and do a lot of damage. They're all quite expensive as well. 340 manpower. Like 100 manpower more than the standard Grenadier, which costs, wait, yeah, 240. Right, then we get on to the field artillery officer. This is, I need to choose a commander to get this to work because he's not got the right commander on. I'll talk about him in a minute. I'll have to restart my game to get this guy to be effective. Okay, we'll talk about the Jaeger Command Squad though. Jaeger Command Squad is a 5-man squad. You can only have one of these guys on the field as Ostheer. It's a special unit that you can only call in with one specific commander. You know, they're a 5-man Grenadier squad. They have the unique ability of lobbing a rifle grenade, like the standard Grenadier. But they also, once they get Veterancy 1, they can lob a flare, like you saw earlier with the Soviet Sniper and the Soviet Mortar. So this is quite nice to give yourself some vision. And also, they can camouflage, I believe, and they can hold fire. I think. They're not camouflage? Why have they got hold fire then? Double check. I don't know. Do they have camouflage? Maybe they don't. 1, 2, 3. No, they don't camouflage, but they have hold fire. So I don't know why they have hold fire. I think that might be a mistake because they're a Jaeger squad. Because OKW have the ability to call in your Jaeger squads, 4-man squad. No squads can camouflage. So I think that hold fire ability is there from that fact that command. Those are the Jaeger squad, and that's a little bit of a mistake there to have the hold fire because you wouldn't. You normally only have hold fire on like tanks and stuff or infantry that can have camouflage, okay? So, and you can lob smoke as well. Right, so that's the infantry there. Let's go on to the, we'll go on to the artillery officer. Remind me, chat, to go over him later on. We'll have to quit out this game and then load into a new match to talk about him. Right, let's go into Ostheer. Light vehicles are unique. We've got the Puma, the half-track,
Panzergrenadiers standing by.
the Mortar half-track. I guess the same thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Half-track ready.
These are the light vehicles you can call in. So only with one command, mobile defense commander for the Ostheer, you can call on a Puma, which is what the OKW have. Again, it can only go up to Veterancy 3 here, not like the OKW. OKW units can go up to Veterancy 4 and 5, but this one can only go up to Veterancy 3. The Puma is just like a light vehicle which is good against penetrating enemy light vehicles and okay against medium vehicles as well. Then you've got the Mortar half-track. Now the Mortar half-track can do like standard barrage, smoke barrage, but it also has access to doing incendiary mortar barrage as well. So that's very good to, you know, if you want an enemy in a building, you drop this on them, or an enemy support weapon. You want to use the incendiary barrage to get rid of them out of cover. Also has counter barrage ability, and because we've chosen this commander, we have Panzer Tactician, so we can press F and we can use smoke on all our vehicles. Every vehicle has this ability with this commander, and that allows your vehicles to get out of, you know, get out of a bad situation. You know, they can drop smoke and the enemy players can't see them. However, enemy players can still attack ground through smoke, so you've got to watch out for that. For newer players, you probably haven't got to, you know, I wouldn't expect new players to learn how to attack ground. But you guys who are watching the stream today, try and utilize attack ground, especially when someone's like trying to use smoke like this, you know. Always trying to, if you see the enemy vehicle that's used smoke, try and attack ground where you last saw the unit, or if it's reversing in a certain direction, try and anticipate its retreat path and hit it there. Okay, last unique light vehicle for the Ostheer is this little half-track. There's two versions of this, in the sense that, you know, one version you can call on which has a squad inside. Another version you can just call on the vehicle itself, and another squad you can call in with a Panzergrenadier squad inside. At any rate, it's all really the same vehicle though. The vehicle has the ability to set up with defensive mode, which kind of gets a little bit bunkered down. That looks a bit weird. But there you go. It's bunkers down that, and then it becomes ability. Then it can suppress units when which comes into its firing arc. But it has become immobile. Once it gets veterancy 1, I believe it can reinforce. So if I had this Panzergrenadier squad members delete 1. At the moment it's not veterancy 1, I can't reinforce. But if it gained veterancy 1, I can now reinforce my Panzergrenadiers with that. This vehicle also, like the other half-track, the other 251 half-track with the flamethrowers, can also gain shared veterancy as well. So any units that are doing damage nearby will also gain veterancy for this unit. Again, you can you can put one unit inside the half-track. So a lot of people like to get a Panzergrenadier squad and rush them around and shoot enemies from the back of the half-track with this, and also the main guns. So it's kind of like an M3 clown class, like the opposite of that. So the Soviets have the M3 clown car with a flamethrower. You can also put like a Pioneer in here with a flamethrower as well to do damage. And again, you can I don't know why that's got that on there as well. There you go. And hold fire as well if you wanted to as well. So there you go. That's the 251 half track.
Scout car awaiting orders.
Right, let's get on now to tanks. So unique tanks. We have the Panzer IV Ostheer, so that's the OKW variant. Basically, this tank here is exactly the same as the OKW version of their Panzer IV. Standard Panzer IV would look like this. It's less armored. This one's got more armor on it. It does a little bit more damage, I think, as well. Don't quote me on that, but generally, you want to, if you've got, it's only one commander you can have this. You can call on this Panzer IV. But yeah, this one costs a little bit more than this one. But this one's better. Again, this one will only get the efficiency 3. Yeah, it can also upgrade pencil out machine gun. Okay, so that's that Panzer IV. Just think about like it's T-34 76, T-34 85, Panzer IV standard, Panzer IV Ostheer. Then we go. What other tanks we got here? We can go through. So we've got the Tiger, the Tiger Ace, the Elephant, Panzer IV command tank, and the Stuggy. Right. Okay, let's go with the Stuggy. The Stuggy is basically a bad version of the Brumberg. Okay? It does worse damage. It does exactly the same thing as a Brumberg. Fires long rounds again, big projectile, long time in the air, and again you want to be attack grounding with this unit. The Stuggy's not very good at the moment. It's in a bad spot. I wouldn't recommend building it lately. It isn't very that great. I'd rather just build a Panzer IV or something instead. Now, this is the Panzer IV, the stubby Panzer IV. It's called Panzer IV Command Tank. It has the ability here, which improves your nearby units to boost combat effectiveness, makes your friendly units better. It's not good against medium vehicles, but it is a lot better against killing infantry than the normal Panzer IV. Okay, it's quite a nice unit, and it's good unit to complement your forces. So I kind of like this unit. It's a nice unit. It comes on like a 9 CPs. It's a call-on unit as well, I believe, and you have to have, I think, tier 3 built to call it on, but it is a nice unit there. Right, then we get on to the Elephant. Well, Elephant is your big daddy tank destroyer. It is very slow, has a fixed turret, so it has to turn itself around to shoot enemies, but it has very good range. Okay, let me just move it forward here. Okay, so you can see the Elephant's vision is terrible, right? It can only see up to here. But it can actually fire a lot further than that. Look, it can fire all the way over to there. Oh, we'll hit that thing there. But you get the idea. It can shoot all the way up to there if it wanted to. And again, so a good combination with the Elephant is, again, to get, was it the 222, right? So as soon as we go to 222 out, we can see a lot further than the Elephant originally can. So I pull my 222 back, right? Even a vanilla 222 actually provides some extra decent LOS. Okay. So we're right next to our friendly Elephant. We're going to give the 222 veterancy 3, so it has even more vision, like so. And there we go. My that good combination there. And my Elephant can now almost fire at its max range. Okay. So you always want to try and keep a 222 alive in support with the Elephant, so your Elephant has got nice amount of vision, so you can see everything around it. Okay. And again, like the elephant, you want it, treat it as a sniper tank. You want it, make sure at the back of your army, sniping enemies away. You don't want it forward, because if you push it forward outside, for instance, someone's base, you get a lot, you know, you're a lot more vulnerable to getting flanked from the sides, round the back here, coming round the side there, you know. So always try and make sure this unit is the back. In a 1v1, like I would say, generally in a 1v1, never ever build an elephant or like a Jagdtiger, because it's not worth the resources. I'd probably just go for, you know, you probably want more Panzer IVs, that kind of thing. But in team games, yes, I feel like, you know, in 2v2s and above, yeah, getting an elephant out late game with a Jagdtiger, you know, is a good idea. Because, you know, this is the daddy tank destroyer. It's one of the best tank destroyers in the game, and it will wreck enemy vehicles. It can also do a stun round, target weak point, so it can stun an enemy vehicle as well. Stop the enemy vehicle from firing as well once it gets efficiency 1. So I'll just quickly show you guys. You know, let's make a Soviet IS-2. We'll make this efficiency 1. So, and also, it's also worth noting that the higher efficiency the elephant is, and also like the Stug, and generally most tanks, the faster they will fire as well. So here we go. We can see this. Right, let's make this an enemy tank. Selection. Owner enemy. Move the 2-2 forward to provide LOS for my elephant. You see it? And look, each shot does about like 20-25% damage. We'll do target weak point. There you go. Now we stun the enemy vehicle, so it's immobile now. So that allows us to, you know, move up, maybe get a little bit closer, get that shot in. But you can see how easily, you know, it will 4-shot an IS-2. Easily from the front.
You need an elephant?
Boom.
That's a kill.
Okay, and it will like 2-shot or 3-shot most other vehicles. Okay, so that was a heavy vehicle, right? Right, so let's go on to the 2 different Tigers. So this is the standard Tiger, standard Ostheer Tiger. You can upgrade this one with the machine gun. You can't upgrade this one with the machine gun because it's a Tiger Ace. So this Tiger, you know, is basically, think of it as like a Panzer IV, but like a beefier version, and it's very good against all types of vehicles. So it's very good against infantry, it's very good against armor. It's quite slow, and it's very expensive. It can also blitzkrieg, and also prioritize vehicles and stuff and that kind of thing. So that's the Tiger. You know, nice effective unit. And then you got the Ace version that's got a very ugly color-looking skin that I'm not a massive fan of. But this is the Tiger Ace. The Tiger Ace has a couple of extra abilities, and it also comes onto the battlefield of efficiency 1. Once it gets to efficiency 3, it's better than the other Tiger. It also costs more than a normal Tiger. So a normal Tiger is like 640 manpower, and I think 230 fuel. This Tiger is 800 manpower and 250 fuel. You can do blitzkrieg. You can also do vehicle crew repair on this. So if this gets damaged, you can this vehicle specifically itself can heal itself, and also it can do spearhead. Now spearhead efficiency 2 allows the vehicle to fire more frequently from the front, but it also I believe locks the turret in a 90-degree angle in where it's aiming. Okay, so I'll just quickly demonstrate. So,
Ready for destination confirmed. Relocating. Make sure the travel locks are off, yeah? Displacing. Orders received.
okay, so if I was to pop this ability on,
We have our orders.
we had it on, and that allows us to shoot a little bit further, like so. And against like things like T-34s, it pretty much will penetrate all the time. It'll never bounce. There you go. That's the main gun critical. If I turn that off, I can't actually fire back. I have to move closer. I think. Wait a minute. So yeah, if you hit this guy, I have to move closer. Let's actually one second. Let me just double chest this. It's taking a second to activate. And then, is it on?
Take this Tiger over there, driver. Tiger, stop now. Tiger, stopping.
Basically, you know, there you go. That's Tiger. Amazing tank. Just absolutely wrecks enemy vehicles. Okay. So I think that's everything for the Ostheer. Have I got? We'll go through commanders as well. Actually, we've got a couple of other units here. Wait, what have we not missed? I think we missed one thing. I believe Ostheer has the ability to call in an Opel Blitz truck as well. This thing. This is a specific commander thing. Basically, this is a truck that comes down. You can call onto the battlefield. You press Z to lock down, and it will increase the amount of resources that you gain over a certain sector. So here we put it on this truck, this point here. So this should increase the resources. If I press like 37 and 16, 32 and 13, so it does increase the amount of resources you do gain from it. And it's immobile while it does that, okay? Anything else that we missed? Thanks for the follows, by the way, guys. Let's double check again. Anything else that we missed? Some abilities and some we'll go through commander abilities and everything in a bit. All the abilities we can do. I think that's everything. Oh no, we missed. Oh yeah, we missed two things. We missed the LEFH and the PaK 43. These big bad boys. Okay, so these are your static structures on the map. I generally don't like building them because an enemy can just recon overpass this and then drop an IL-2 bombing strike and instantly one-shot it and you can't do anything about it because it's an immovable object, both these things. So this is the artillery piece. This thing has got good range. It can fire very far. It does a big barrage, like so. It's good against mostly infantry and support weapons, but it also will damage vehicles somewhat decently. And it can also do the counter-barrage ability like the Panzergrenadier can do as well. You've also got here the PaK 43. So this has got this is the big boy PaK gun. It can actually fire for a lot further than the standard PaK gun, as I will now show you. Let's get a normal PaK gun out. So here's the smaller brother. This is the PaK 40. Move them side by side. So you can see here. Let's just give it a second to set up. So that's his distance. That's the PaK 40's distance. PaK 40 has more. So yeah, PaK 43's got bigger range, but more tighter arc. But PaK 43, so PaK 40 has bigger arc, but shorter distance. Okay. So you can hold fire with this. You could do a target weak point as well, and you can also scuttle the PaK. If you lose the position, you don't want your opponent to steal it. You can scuttle it, and I think you could regain some resources there. You can refund 150 manpower and 15 fuel. If you wanted to destroy it in case you no longer needed it or you didn't want your opponent to steal it, okay? But generally, you know, it turns around. It does it can move around 360 degrees. A bit slow to turn around, but it is pretty beastly, and it will do a lot of damage to enemy armor. It will. Let me just. We'll just show you. We'll put on a We'll put on a tank here. If it hits, it's accurate. So for some reason this PaK 43 hasn't got himself prioritized vehicles, but if it hits, see like almost 50% health damage there. There you go, two shots medium vehicles, very effective. Okay, so I think that's it. Let's go into commander. Let's go back out now. Let's go on to looking at the commanders and some abilities, and go into the artillery officer as well. This camera is. I'd much rather a 17-pounder over a PaK 40, because at least a 17-pounder you can brace, by the way. Okay, so let's just go over some commanders. Okay, so this is all the commanders that you can call in for Ostheer. So here, for instance, again, you always want a variety of commanders. So here we have, for instance, the German infantry doctrine. So here we can have that little half track we talked about. You can actually boost your Grenadiers and your Pioneers to 5 men with this ability. It gives them more survivability, improves their combat effectiveness. You can call Stormtroopers on there. You've got elite troops here. You can have like the Tiger Ace, the Stormtroopers, the Panzer Tactician, the Ostheer with the artillery field officer. We'll actually maybe just jump straight back into the match, and I'll just quickly show you what the artillery field officer can do for you guys, because it's a very nice unit. if you know a little trick or two with that. But you can see here, like, you know, for big team games, if you wanted a good, like, I recommend, for instance, the fortified armor doctrine in team games is very nice because you can do a reconnaissance flight, which could provide LOS for your elephant. So to shoot the elephant, you also got the Panzer IV command tank. Let me just remove these here. Go away. This. So here you can have over here on the right hand side, you can see you got the hull down. Hull down actually is another cool ability where you can set your German armor in the ground, increase their defense and damage. I think they also increase their range slightly as well, potentially. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I used that ability, but there you go. It's another ability there. You got so this is the commander here, German mechanized doctrine. You can get spotting scopes onto your vehicles, which allows them to see further. This probably is another one. Like if you're playing team games, guys, which I think most of you guys are, Jaeger armor doctrine is probably like I would always have this on my commander loader if I'm playing Ostheer, because again, like you could put a spotting scope on your 222, and then and also on the elephant to both make them see further, so they can shoot further. You have the Stuka bombing strike, which works really well in conjunction with the reconnaissance overflight, because you could recon, provide vision for the Stuka bomb, and then because you can't just drop the Stuka bomb off through the fog of war, you need vision, right? But with the recon, you can provide yourself vision, then you can drop the bomb, and then you can blow up an enemy position, like so. It's very good ability. So that's a really good commander all round. Jaeger armor, definitely recommend that one if you guys are playing team games. That one is definitely one you definitely want. This is the new one that came out fairly recently. Strategic Reserves Doctrine is quite a nice commander that I've been seeing playing even in 1v1 and also in team games. Assault Grenadiers, like that certain build order, you can use them. Oh yeah, we're going to go over build orders as well. We'll go over build orders next. But here we go, you get your Assault Grenadiers, and then you can, this is the Panzer IV Ors J, it's the better version of the Panzer IV. But here you probably want to be saving up for the Tiger Ace, because the Tiger Ace costs a lot, and the Tiger Ace is a very good tank. And then you've got, let's see what other commanders I would recommend. So the other one I use quite a lot, which I'm known for using, and making popular, is the Stormtrooper doctrine. So as we talked earlier, we made, you know, your Stormtroopers with machine guns. Actually, we're going to choose this commander when we go into the next battle, and I'll just give you talk to you about the artillery officer and stuff. All right, let's just do that right now. Actually, let's go straight into this next this fight again. Let's choose a different map this time to give you guys a little bit of. Let's choose Faymanville. I love Faymanville. Faymanville is my favorite map. Yeah, Stormtrooper never let you down, guys. Again, guys, if you've got any questions in chat, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to answer those. Why did I say 222 so bloody fast, hands? Because it's so easy to say it fast. 222. 222. Why, you want me to say 222? The Jagdtiger is better than the Elephant, in my opinion, because the Jagdtiger can go to efficiency 4 and 5. It can also do a kind of a high explosive round shot, which does damage against infantry. Okay, here we go. Back into the game. Let me just turn the AI off. Or disable. Okay, let's just use this commander. So this is the Stormtrooper commander.
New units are ready to deploy.
So this is a build that I like to do quite often. So I get my first Pioneer. I don't build Tier 1. I get my Pioneer to go out and capture the territory points. I then I also build machine guns straight away, and then build maybe 2 or 3 Stormtrooper squads. I have my machine gun following closely behind my Pioneers, because my Pioneers have decent vision, so they can spot for my MG, and then I try and suppress my first opponent with that machine gun, while my Stormtrooper go around and capture the flanks. Now this is quite a good play in the early game, because I'm not having to invest in resources, 80 manpower and 10 fuel, into building tier 1 here, right? Because most players, when they play Ostheer, will always build tier 1 first. But here, I can actually save a little bit of resources by going for this specific build. However, you know, this against certain players, this build won't work. Because the Stormtrooper just generally suck, and if you need, basically, with this build, you need to make your MGs work, okay? Let me just quickly go on to, let's talk about the field artillery officer, and then we'll go on to build orders for this faction. Resources, set infinite, or resource types. Right, you.
An assault officer has joined our
Here we go, this bad boy. Right, and let's get a Panzerwerfer as well, because I can show you guys how awesome this ability is. It's a nice little trick that not many people know, but I always like to show this ability off because it's really sick. Right, there's my Panzerwerfer out. Light vehicles, isn't it? There you are. Right. So the artillery officer, in conjunction with the Panzerwerfer, is very good.
Officers are now available for transfer.
So first of all, let's look at the artillery officer here has the ability to drop a smoke barrage for free. You can fire smoke down so he can get access and attack enemy positions. You can also do diversion, taking lead. The officer will command his unit to draw or fire to create a diversion, so he will tank the damage. So let's say your enemy was shooting your machine gun, you could pop that on, and then your enemy would be forced to shoot him. It's like a taunt. Inspiring aura, I can press this ability and my units will fight harder. So you can see here. And an officer has inspired this squad, allowing them to fight with great accuracy and rate of fire.
We have ground to cover. Let's
I can use coordinated barrage. So this is the ability I really like. It's called all available artillery pieces and mortars and rocket artillery in range will barrage the target location. So let me just show you something. So let's say I wanted to fire my Panzerwerfer once, like so. Okay. I've got to wait 90 seconds or so for it to fire again. However, but with this ability, coordinate barrage and fire here, I can cheat the cooldown and make the Panzerwerfer fire a second time
Ready for action.
off its cooldown. Like so. So that, you know, that way you basically can have 2 Panzerwerfers in one with this, but you're spending 45 munitions, but being able to fire 2 Panzerwerfers in a short space of time can potentially surprise your opponent. And you know, it's quite, you know, I definitely, you know, spend an extra 45 munitions if I can get a nice Panzerwerfer barrage in again to probably damage my opponent. And also with Veterancy 1, it can do a heavy mortar barrage. So that's an ability. Let's just quickly show you selection. Combat, Veterancy 1. So I can drop an artillery ability. Oh, it's also worth noting, guys, any off-map ability, like a railway barrage, IL-2 bombing strike, you cannot place it in the enemy HQ's region, right? You can only place it in the rest of the map. No, not allowed to apply it anywhere else. There you go. So I can just spend 40 munitions just to drop a mortar barrage there. It's not that great, but it's not that expensive either. Okay. So that was the little trick there with that. And then also why I like this build. So let me just go through the build again. So you go. So what you would normally do is you'd go, for instance, Ostheer, infantry, stripping, team weapons, machine gun. So this is a general build that I would do with my Ostheer build. So I'd have about 3 Ostheer squads, like so, 2 machine guns. I may call in the second machine gun via this ability, so I can spend 400 manpower here, guys, to call in a machine gun, a pack gun, and some extra resources. This way, I don't have to spend like 260 manpower and 320 manpower to make the machine gun and the pack gun from tier 2. So it's a way for me, once I get, so I think it's at 4 CPs, I can grab some extra resources and then recruit these MGs and stuff. So 25 munitions, 10 fuel, and then I can recruit this this machine gun with this Stormtrooper squad. I can reinforce quite cheaply, 16 manpower to reinforce those guys, and then I can also recruit, you know, this pack gun as well. And through that, I've basically created 3 squads out of 1 for quite cheap. There you go. So I basically like almost doubled my army size almost by doing that. Okay, so that's like a nice little way to play. You know, you go through 3 Ostheer squads. You call on this ability to get your second machine gun, or maybe third machine gun if you feel like you need a third machine gun. You have your anti-tank on this. You haven't got to build it out of tier 2, so you might be able to get away with going tier 2 into tier 3 and not even building tier 1 here. So after this, you would let's just do speed ups here. So speed ups.
Our headquarters has been improved. We can now build light mechanized.
So I'd probably go with this build. I'd go straight into tier 3 and maybe go Panzer 4. Rush out of Panzer 4. So you'd go 3 Stormtrooper squads, double machine gun, maybe a third machine gun and a pack gun, and then rush into Panzer 4. Okay, so that's one kind of build you can do with Ostheer with this specific commander choice. This commander also, you can also lay down trenches with your Stormtrooper squads later on if you wanted to, and Stormtrooper have the ability to lay wire. Do they really? Oh, they do. Yeah, and they can lay barbed wire and sandbags just like pioneers can. Okay. And then obviously railway artillery is this big artillery strike, which is very good to drop on big clusters of units, or maybe the retreat path of an enemy unit to try and wipe them, because anything caught in this will die. So it's very expensive, 200 munitions, but it will like completely deny an area. So if you wanted to deny an enemy from capturing a VP, you might want to drop that on there. But generally, it's quite an expensive thing to do to deny a VP. But if you're very close to winning the game on VPs, it might be worth doing, basically. So let's just delete everything here. Let's talk about another build order.
Pioneers ready for assignment.
So another build order might be you just go tier 1
We have construction work to do.
with machine gun again,
G42 team is ready for action.
and then you go Gren.
Grenadier squad is ready.
You go MG 3 Grens,
How can we... Look,
like so, into tier 2. You would upgrade your Grens as soon as you can when you had the resources with munitions.
Motherland has
With all builds, by the way, guys, you know, when your squads are weak, you'd always want to build a med bunker at your base.
That is a sturdy bunker. With me.
Like so.
The bunker is now a field hospital.
So you've got your reinforcement bunker there. So you'd always want to get your reinforcement bunker, your healing bunker, not your reinforcement bunker. You know, they're at your base as soon as you can afford it. Because obviously, you know, when you're treating this, you don't want to send out half health squads, because if you send out a squad that's already like at 50% health, as soon as they get into a fight, they're going to drop some men, they're going to feed enemy veterancy, and that's going to be expensive reinforcement costs for you. So by making a medic bunker, you are saving yourself manpower. You're making your squads you're making your squads healthy, therefore they can stay in the fight for longer. So yeah, this is what you want to do. So you go MG, 3 Grens with MG. Maybe tech up, get yourself a 222 out.
Scout car has arrived.
Use the 222 to counter maybe the M20. Then let's say, you know, around about the 8-minute mark, 7-minute mark, you'll be then dealing with maybe a T70. So then you'd bring out your pack gun, your anti-tank gun. Maybe you'd also bring out a Panzergrenadier, and then you upgrade that with Shreks. So this is quite a nice, like, all-round build, because you've got like an MG, which is suppressive squads. You got your Grenadiers. You want your Grenadiers, like, you always want like a 1 Grenadier near your machine gun in case you need to get a Faust in or to cover the flank. Then you want, you know, your Panzergrenadiers with your pack gun, and also a Grenadier nearby, so you can get the Faust, the snare, Panzergrenadiers with Shreks, and the pack would easily, you know, do double whammy, and then finish off the light vehicle. So this is kind of like a nice overall, you know, solid kind of build that you might want to do in like the mid-early game. And then you might want to take up to tier 3 and then get your first Panzer 4 out. Like, I'd always recommend going, unless you're ahead, guys, you generally always want to go Panzer 4 first as Ostheer, rather than going Ostwind. Because if you went Ostwind and your opponent surprised you with a T-34, you would lose. You would probably lose the game then and there. But if you went Panzer 4 and just waited a little bit longer for another 50 manpower, another 20 fuel, you'll have a Panzer 4 out, which can then tango with that T-34 and also can deal damage against infantry, right? So I'd only really ever get an Ostwind if you feel confident you're ahead and you've got enough AT like Panzergrenadiers with Shreks and a pack gun, and maybe a couple of telemines down. So where would you want to plant telemines as well on this map? So you want like a mine here, telemine here, around the flank here, maybe on the road here, up around the back here. Those kinds of places to plant telemines. Again, so we're going to, let's say we start the game, we come out, we want to build cover here, make sure that we have this under control. Let's build that cover, we want to wire the sides of the cover off so our opponent can't use it. Okay, so that's one. So this is like again like a standard. You know, that's probably like old school meta Ostheer that still works today. This kind of meta, right?
Standing by.
Let's just delete these guys and go over to the other build order that you could do. So another build order you can do is Assault Grenadier start. So with Assault Grenadier start, you would not build tier 1. You would go to probably tier 2, and what you would do is go machine gun again, and you would go with double Assault Grenadiers, maybe even 3 Assault Grenadiers if you're feeling ballsy. You'd use your Assault Grenadiers to get up close. This is quite an aggressive build because your Assault Grenadiers are only good at close quarters combat. So you want your MG suppressing enemy units and getting your Assault Grenadiers up there close and personal dealing the damage. And then you'd also come in with, once you built tier 2, you can then call on Panzergrenadiers. So those Panzergrenadiers will then upgrade with Shreks, so then you have some kind of AT available. And then you'd go straight into tier 3 and maybe rush out a Panzer 4. This is another kind of build that you can do with Ostheer. Okay? Will I play a game today? I might do another game in a minute with I play Ostheer. So guys, let me ask you in chat, what you guys would like to see now? I've went over 3 quick builds that you could do with Ostheer. Would you guys like me to see me implement one of these builds in a game before we finish this boot camp session off? We've got about 20 minutes or so, but we'll go play using that build. What you want to play? You want to show me you playing with the Assault Grenadiers? Yeah. Put a build into action. Okay, let's see what people want to see. Okay, right. So we'll quit out and we'll go play a team game or something, and we'll show you how this works. You want to see Assault Grenadier? Like, well, let's see what chat wants. Which build do you want? Do you want the Stormtrooper build? Do you want the Ass Grenadier build, or do you want standard meta 3 Grenadier MG build? Three Grand MG standard. All right, we've got three for standard. We've got 3 for. Oh god, we've got quite a few for 4th of meta. Alright, I think we'll just do standard then, yeah? Right, we'll just do standard Gren build. Alright, let's do auto match versus players. 3v3, 4v4. Okay, so let's just make sure. Okay, so we're going to be playing a 3v3 or 4v4, so we're going to make sure, because these are the game modes that you guys will be playing most likely. So we're going to get in here with, we're going to place your stripping commander in team games is shit, by the way, everyone, because in team games you'll be, you know, the idea of the stripping is to be able to cap the map quite a lot quickly, but in team games there's so many enemy units that are going to be a lot better than you. It's not even worth going on stripping. So I'd highly advise against going on stripping in big team games like 3s and 4s. We're going to place your stripping commander with the Jaeger armor doctrine. We've got the elite troops there as well, and we've got the German infantry doctrine as well, which is quite nice. Now the German infantry doctrine with the 3 Gren build is quite nice because then I can instead of going for the MG upgrade, I can go for 5-man Gren squads instead. So I could like kind of make a hybrid of the standard Gren build. So let's just Hey guys, thank you for watching that video. If you want more content, please click on the link over here and over here. If you would like to subscribe, click on the button down here. Also click on the notification bell down there so you're notified whenever I post new YouTube content. I also stream nearly every single day on Twitch. I have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/HelpingHans. And if you want to show your support there, please do subscribe, as all your support helps me do this full time. And yeah guys, I appreciate it as always, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.